Hello everyone, today I will be talking to you about the Eight of Wands. If you have a look at this card, you can immediately see that there is something very different here. We do not have the wands that we were used to seeing, so these wands are not here, and the flames are not here as well. So we didn't have wands in all of the cards in the suit of wands, but we definitely always had flames in all of the cards. But here we have no flames, and this is explained in the Book of Thoth. So I will give you a quote here. It will be noticed that there are no flames. They have all been taken up into the wands to turn them into rays. On the other hand, the electric energy has created intelligible geometrical form. So these are our wands that have absorbed the flames into themselves, and this is how they became these electric rays. I have another quote that's quite important here, and it says, "The light ones are turned into electrical rays, sustaining or even constituting matter by their vibrating energy." So these arrows are rays vibrating with energy. They're very like electric. There's a lot of power here. And this is how the form that we can see here in these geometrical objects. So the rays create the form and also sustain it. So we can say that these rays are kind of similar to the rays that we remember from the Ace of Wands. And remember, in the Ace of Wands, this was the creative force. The power of creativity. So it is something very similar here in the Eight of Wands. So to understand what this shape is, I need to tell you about platonic solids, because this is one of them and it's associated with the element of air. And we can actually see it here. This is the same three-dimensional object, but we see it from 2 points of view. So if you imagine that this shape here, we can see it from the side. It's like a side angle view. And then this is the top view. And yes, here. So we can see it from the top. It looks kind of like a pyramid being seen from the top. So the base is square, and then we have those triangular sides. But this whole shape, as we can see it in the side view, is like if you imagine two pyramids being joined by their square bases. And this is one three-dimensional shape. And this shape is called the octahedron. So these are the four platonic solids, and we are interested in this one now. It's an octahedron. Octa means 8, so it's an 8-sided three-dimensional object, and all of these objects, all of their sides are equal. So if you imagine a triangle like this, there are 8 of them, and they are joined together to form this three-dimensional object. So every side of the object is an identical triangle. And tetrahedron is the same. It's also triangles, but we have 4 of them. So this is, you can also say like it's kind of like a pyramid, but it has its base, it's also a triangle. So there's one triangle here, and then these 3 like go up and are joined together here. The hexahedron is, I think, the easiest to understand, because this is just like a dice. So we have square sides and we have 6 of them. So this is just like a die that you would use to play a board game. And the 4th one is icosahedron, and this, it's also based on triangles, but we have 20 of them. So there are 20 identical triangles joined together to form this three-dimensional object. And these elements are called platonic solids because of ancient Greek philosopher Plato. So he hypothesized in his work Timaeus that elements are made of these solids. So these are the four solids connected with the four elements, and the one we are most interested in here is the air. So octahedron is air, tetrahedron is fire, hexahedron, our die, is earth, and icosahedron is our element of water. And there is, of course, the fifth platonic solid that was discovered by one of his students, and I had to fold this away because I almost burnt the piece of paper on the candle that I have here, but we're still here, it's all okay. The fifth one is the dodecahedron, and this shape is created by combining 12 pentagons together to form like this three-dimensional object. And it's not related to any of the elements. It's not really described very specifically. It is just said that the god used it for arranging the constellations on the whole heaven. So this last shape kind of, you can imagine like it kind of organizes the four other ones. So it's like not so much a shape, but maybe a force that organizes all the other ones and combines them together and like makes everything join together harmoniously. Above this three-dimensional object, we can see a beautiful rainbow, and also the colors of the object itself are rainbow colors. And I think this is a good time to mention two of the major arcana cards that the Eight of Wands is associated with. So we have here Mercury in Sagittarius, and Mercury is of course the magus, and Sagittarius is art. So especially in the art card, we can see the association with these colors because there's a rainbow here above, and also here we have the arrow of Sagittarius, and it creates this rainbow effect, this rainbow cape that this person is wearing. And art card is all about joining the opposites and finding balance. Magus is, of course, having all of the tools at your disposal, having all of the possibilities and all of the skills that you need to achieve something. So I'll go into more details about these cards when we get to the major arcana, and I'll make separate videos about them, but this is really all you need to know to understand the Eight of Wands. There's also a quote from the Book of Thoth that I would like to share here, and it says, "Above this restored universe shines the rainbow, the division of pure light, which deals with maxima, into the seven colors of the spectrum which exhibit interplay and correlation." So you can see here that the rainbow really is meant as a symbol of harmony. Division of pure light, so this is the pure light of Keter. If you remember from our Tree of Life, Keter is the pure light, and then as it descends down the Tree of Life, it is divided into many different versions of itself, and this is how it creates matter. So this is also, the rainbow also symbolically represents this idea. So the last element of the card that I would like to talk about is the background. The background has this really lovely blue color, and blue is associated with Jupiter, and Jupiter rules the sign of Sagittarius. So that's why we have the influence of Jupiter here, but also the 8th Sephira that we are in, so the 8th Sephira of Hod, is sometimes called the lower reflection of Hesed. So Hesed is associated with Jupiter, but Hod is like its lower reflection. So it does get some of the influence, and Hod is associated with Mercury, and we have Mercury here in this card. And this is why there is a strong Mercury energy in this card, even though Mercury in Sagittarius doesn't do very well. So on the decan wheel, we are now here. So we were in Leo, and now we are jumping to another fire sign, which is Sagittarius, and we are in the first decan of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and if you look across, Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So that's why Mercury here is in its rulership, and on the opposite side of the decan wheel, it's gonna be in detriment. And that's why I told you that Mercury doesn't do very well in Sagittarius, but in this card it's also supported because we are in the 8th Sephira that is connected to Mercury. Mercury as a planet is very fast moving, and it's associated with communication, with versatility, with being really inquisitive, and like doing a lot of things at the same time, but it's also associated with being nervous and indecisive. So you can kind of imagine that this is portraying some of the Mercury energy, that you're like buzzing with all of the possibilities. You want to do so many things, but you know, it's also a very nervous energy and very, you might say it's very anxious. Sagittarius is a sign of mutable fire, so it is passion, but it is changing direction. So it is associated with like spreading ideas and always looking for new adventures and things that like go viral. It's very enthusiastic, but you see probably already what the problem is here. These both energies together are like a lot of the same thing. Mercury associated with air and Sagittarius with mutable fire. It's all very changing. You can do anything. There are so many possibilities, and you basically want to do everything at once. And this is what the energy of this card is, and this is, I think, very amazingly portrayed with these rays that move in all of the directions. So this is your energy, you know, your energy is so electric, and it has the potential to achieve anything you want. But you know, will you be able to focus? Will you be able to actually create something solid out of all of these possibilities? And this is associated with the last quote that I have for you from the Book of Thoth, and it says, "This card, therefore, represents energy of high velocity, such as furnishes the master key to modern mathematical physics." So we are going back to this idea of this high velocity, buzzing and electric energy creating matter, creating something solid in the world, and also sustaining like all processes that are going on when creation happens. So now I'm going to tell you a bit about how to interpret this card in divination. The name of this card is Swiftness, so this is not only being fast, but also very flexible and able to change direction quickly. So the main meaning would be to act quickly, seize the opportunity. It might mean that there is an opportunity coming your way and you just have to act on it immediately without really thinking things through. Sometimes you just have to do it. Sometimes you just have to go with the flow and like don't resist what is happening. So this can be, for example, in work situations, that there will be some new opportunities for you and you should just go for it. Like with this card, you know it's going to be good for you. Don't overthink it. Just seize the opportunity that's coming your way. This card also means clear communication and being flexible in your communication. So, for example, there are these situations where you have a conflict with someone, but no one is saying anything. So there's like a hidden conflict, and there's a weird vibe between the two people, but you know, both sides are just bottling things up and no one will speak up. And if you get this card as advice in a reading, this means that you should just talk it out with the other person. Just like communicate. You need to talk it out, but you also need to be flexible. So listen to what the other person is telling you and be really open to what they might say, and do not go into this with your own ideas about what's going to happen and how the conversation is going to go. Just really be open to the dialogue with the other person, and this is how you achieve a lovely balance and harmony between the two of you. This card can also be describing what your energy is like at a given time. So it can mean that you're bursting with energy, you're excited about a lot of things, and you're just moving from idea to idea. There's always something more exciting on the horizon, so you're jumping from project to project and never actually finishing things. So this might be a call to be more grounded and to actually make sure that you do focus on something and finish it before moving on to the next thing. This card can also mean a lot of things happening at the same time. So if you're asking, for example, when something will happen and you get this card as a reply, it means it's gonna happen really quickly. If you're asking about the development of a certain situation, for example, a lot of people are asking about their new relationships and they want to know how it's going to go over, I don't know, the next few weeks or months. This card means that it's going to be really fast. There might be serious love declarations really quickly early on in the relationship. You might move in with that person very fast. So, this is a very positive development of events, but it's really quick and it just depends on your personality, how you deal with this sort of thing. But overall, this is a very positive card, and you see, like with this rainbow here, like there can be only good outcomes. If you are able to focus this energy on something, you are really able to achieve anything you want here. And you're able to achieve it really quickly. So it really is a very positive card to get in reading.